that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody...
You wanted him to be an immigrant. That's what you wanted. You either wanted him to be a or a Mexican immigrant. Y'all was banking on it. Y'all was like, yes, if he could have just been a Mexican, if he could have just been black, we could have get this race war on and popping. Yeah. No race war for you. It was a 22-year-old white kid whose daddy was a Republican pastor and the whole family were Trump supporters.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you are watching, you are having a great time. Now, Charlie Kirk's death is revealing a lot of underlying issues within American society. We are finding out that the unity that has always been preached does not really exist, and people read from different scripts depending on what they believe in. The other day, when Utah Governor Spencer Cox was telling the press about the arrest of Tyler Robinson, who was the killer of Charlie Kirk, he made some comments that have not really gone down well with many people, especially those in the liberal side. He said that for 33 hours, he hoped and prayed that this killer was not one of them, was not somebody from the state, but just somebody like an immigrant who came outside the United States and wanted to bring violence in America. But to his surprise, this was one of them, someone who was born by a family that is highly Republican. He was lost of words and didn't know what to say about the entire situation. But then this speech became very viral, and many people have given their opinions about it. And some of them are even saying that the governor must apologize for what he said. I want you to listen to some of the comments that Americans have made about this entire issue so that you get to understand how divisions exist in America. But before we dive in, please, if you're watching us for the first time, kindly remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. We are on our way to 100,000 subscribers, and we believe your contribution will make us achieve this dream today. So let's dive into the video.
For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for.
Lock in, fuck niggas. What the hell did I just hear? Did the governor of Utah, who has one of the most lax gun laws in the state, is surprised as one of his residents that committed the assassination? It's been confirmed that Tyler Robinson, a white man from Utah, was the one that assassinated Charlie Kirk. Not a black person, not a Muslim person, not a trans person, but a white man from Utah. Now, based on his voter registration, it shows that he has no affiliation to any parties. Now, there isn't any direct evidence to show the individual's ideology, although there is a photograph of the individual in a Donald Trump costume. There are numerous photos of the suspect handling firearms, which clearly shows that Utah gun laws failed Charlie Kirk. And I still don't understand how the Utah's governor is still surprised that it was a white man from Utah that did this. If we just look at all the attempted assassinations and assassinations that happened this year, all of it was from white men. State lawmaker Melissa Hortman, suspect is a white man. The two assassination attempts on Donald Trump were white men. But you guys won't acknowledge that. And the reason is because Charlie Kirk bred the idea that white Christian people are the perfect being and anyone outside of that are criminals or problems. And any white individual part of any minority group is a corrupted individual. I would say pray for Charlie Kirk's family, but my prayers are wrapped up into the HBCUs that got those threats, Gaza, Sudan, and Congo.
Oh, I've tried to make this video a couple of times, but it keeps going long. So I'm going to try to talk fast because I don't normally talk fast. Anyway, I just watched the press conference about the suspect in custody in the killing of Charlie Kirk. Very good thing. Less than 36 hours, they caught the person responsible. I think there's been some sort of confession. They got their guy. Great. Press conference gives details, and then, as is typical in this situation, law enforcement gets up and pats themselves on the back. FBI gets up, pats himself on the back, and then the governor of Utah starts to speak. The governor of Utah is talking about dangerous rhetoric that leads to political violence and how it has no place in our country. And I am 100% aligned with that sentiment. That is what needs to be said. But then he goes on to thank the people of Utah for coming out in support of law enforcement, in support of Charlie Kirk and his family, in support of the university community that has experienced this trauma. All wonderful things. And then he says, unlike what we've seen in other cities with rioting and looting and violence. And that's where he fucking lost me. Because what do you mean? Other cities experiencing violence, looting, and rioting. That microaggression is coded language for racism. He is speaking directly about where we have seen an outpouring of protests that, yes, have turned violent at times and have turned into riots. None of those things are okay. None of it's okay. But there's a big difference between what happened after, say, George Floyd, for example, and what's happened in Utah, and that is justice. The full arm of the law went out and tracked down this murderer. He is in jail. He will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Whereas in these other scenarios, law enforcement were the perpetrators of that initial violence, and there was never going to be justice until the live video and that public outpouring of anger forced the hands of someone to go, maybe we should look into Derek Chauvin and see if maybe he was a little too aggressive. That is the major difference. We did not have to go and angrily force anyone's hand to get justice for Charlie Kirk and his family. He was afforded that justice immediately. Whereas when a Black American is killed by law enforcement, we go right to questioning whether or not they deserved it. Nobody deserves to be a victim of violence. And it doesn't matter their socioeconomic status, their fame, their fortune, or their race. So no, we don't have to have riots in Utah because the right things are being done. But the next time a police officer kills a Black man and the local authorities just brush it off, yeah, we are going to take to the streets and demand justice.
Did Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, just defuse the largest bomb in modern history here in the United States? In my opinion, yes, he did. Since Charlie Kirk's unaliving, we have all been absolutely glued to the news, to the commentaries, to the videos. We've seen a lot of people speak, a lot of people chime in. I didn't even know the governor of Utah before this week. Spencer Cox, what a hell of a guy this one is, huh? There has never been the division and the anger and the frustration in our country in my lifetime as there has been over this last week. And it's been a real question. Is this the tipping point? Which direction are we going to go? And I think Spencer Cox just single-handedly stopped a bomb from going off, basically. He was put in the spotlight for the entire world to see over the last handful of days. And I guess the only ways I would describe his speech is sincere and honest, on point, and inspirational. I just watched his speech this morning after they caught the guy who unalived Charlie Kirk. And listening to Spencer Cox talk about this, I think he might have just turned us around. And I hope so. I really hope that is the case, and I hope that everyone else that watched him talk feels the same way that I do, because we don't need more violence. I know you feel it, but we don't need more violence. It's not going to, in the end, it's not going to be the answer. So, anyways, I say kudos to Utah, and kudos, the state of Utah and the governor of Utah. You couldn't have handled a situation better than what you just did. One of the most tragic that we've had in our lifetime. And the state of Utah under Spencer Cox, you did magnificent. So I say thank you.
Bro, I don't mean to laugh, but racism is funny sometimes, man. All I could do was laugh. That Utah governor got up there and said, dang it, he wasn't He said, oh my gosh, I can't even say it. He said, dang it, he wasn't a Democrat. He said, bro, and I cannot make this up. He said, I was praying it wasn't one of us. Then Cash Patel sitting behind him, bro. This dude says, I was hoping that it was somebody from overseas. Please, somebody, I'm begging you, screenshot Cash Patel's face in the moment he said that and post it in the comments, please. Oh my God. Y'all gotta watch the video, bro. Y'all have to watch the video, bro. Bro, this is unbelievable. That man legit was up there like, see, I told you it was what? It wasn't the Democrat? It was the LG. Huh? It wasn't him? Then who was it? No way. Guys, it wasn't them.
No, but for real, I need Christians to explain to me what the governor of Utah meant when he said, I was praying to God that it was not one of us. Look, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. My grandfather was a bishop. My brother's a preacher. My other grandfather's a preacher. I got cousins, preachers. I've heard a lot of sermons in my life. I've heard a lot of prayers. I was in church every day from 0 to 21. I love my church family. I don't go to church anymore, but I love my church family. I love my people. Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. I've never heard a person say what that governor of Utah said. I prayed to God that it was not one of us. I prayed that it was someone from a different state who had driven into our state, or someone from a different country. What? So this is for Christians. People who call themselves Christian. What did that man mean by that? Was he hoping that it was a non-white person? Because that's how I heard it. I heard it as being a non-white person first, and then a non-American second, presumably someone from a different country, which is so odd coming from Mormon territory, because Mormons go into other countries, but South American and Central American countries that are Latino people and work to convert them to Mormonism. What did he mean by that? That was such an odd statement. And look, I don't know that governor, and I saw he was emotional up there. And it seems like he was most emotional because it was a white guy that killed that other guy. So somebody help me understand that. Some Christians out there, help me understand that.
Man, y'all cap ass niggas talking about it's one of us. I ain't seen a picture yet. No, okay. But like one of them, right? Like definitely a leftist, like looks like us, but doesn't think like us, right? Oh, okay. Well, at least he's not a Utah citizen. He's one of those crazy people from the other stage, right? That's 20 of them? Now, if I'm being honest, like my nephew could be his brother. Like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know if I could spin this, even if I was a Beyblade. I could have sworn it was them monkeys from Detroit. And you mean to tell me it's a motherfucker that looked like my first cousin? What are we? How am I gonna excuse the God, now I gotta call off the raid. Look, I'll explain later. Don't ask any fucking questions. Just call off the raid, dude. I figured it. Dude, just call off it. Look, take the fucking mask off. Make sure you bleach them. Store them somewhere safe for next time. Call off the fucking raid. I'll explain later. Can't have any fucking fun these days, dude. God damn.
I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country, Sadly, that prayer was not answered.
For him to say he really prayed that it wasn't one of them says so much, right? Like he really thought it was going to be a Democrat. Or better yet, he wanted to be a person of color. He wanted to be an immigrant. He wanted to be someone who was trans. Whatever, he wanted to be nothing but what it was, a white Republican who was heavy in MAGA. No, couldn't be. Man, it's crazy how now you want to switch up your tune and you want peace. When we should have had peace in the first place, we should have been talking about unity. But no, it wasn't an individual, it was a group of people. I mean, everybody, those liberals, I mean, all the past 2 days have been nothing but people basically making lists of Black and brown creators that they wanted to and more. I mean, I seen a woman literally almost bust a blood vessel screaming about how dare Democrats do this. And look what we have here. It's so quick for them to go ahead and accuse anybody but themselves when it's showing that the violent party is not the Democrats. It's not. But yeah, and let's not forget this dude right here. If he don't look just crazy, I don't know what crazy is. But anyway, y'all have a good day.
So now that we know what we know, now that we know for sure what we know, this, and including this.
For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for.
What does any of it have to do with HBCUs? I need someone to answer that. I need someone from their side of the aisle to come and tell me, what does any of that have to do with HBCUs? This was the outcome of a MAGA on MAGA crime. This was the outcome of a feud between the Charlie Kirk camp and the Nick Fuentes camp. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you, it happened in Utah. Ain't no HBCUs in Utah. Ain't no HBCUs nowhere near Utah. So I'm going to say it out loud, since probably come tomorrow or some point next week, I'm going to lose this account because they're going to go through all of our videos and search for political things and then ban us. So I'm fully mentally prepared to lose this account. So I might as well go out with a scream and a yell, even though I can't, but you know what I mean. Need someone from MAGA to come and explain to me, like a grown-up, explain it to me like I'm 5, what any of this ever or does or did have to do with HBCUs or Black people at all. Let me know.
To the Utah governor, why do you need it to be someone else? I mean, we know why, but I just wanted to hear it from you. I hope a reporter follows up on that you were hoping that it was a foreigner or someone that wasn't a part of your community and it wasn't one of you guys. I'm very curious at how we're going to approach that line of questioning. Now, you did mention a death penalty. My question is, are you still about the life?
So the governor of Utah saying that he prayed for 33 hours, that he wished that it was not one of them. He sat there and said that he prayed for 33 hours that the gunman, the alleged gunman, was not one of theirs. He wanted them to be an immigrant so bad, a person of color so bad that he prayed for 33 hours that it was not one of them. I know we all heard what we heard. And come to find out, it was one of him. Clock it. I would do my little finger clip, but I got popsicle in my hand. Clock that. Sir, yeah, it was one of yours. What did you think? Who did you think? Who could you possibly have thought it was? You think black people, brown people, is going to sit up there with a high-power rifle on somebody's rooftop? First of all, we burn in the sun as well. We burn in the sun as well. Okay? Why would we sit on somebody's rooftop to unalive somebody because they have a difference of opinion? If you have a difference of opinion, you have a difference of opinion. We've never stopped people from having a difference of opinion. The only thing that we want is equal rights. That's it. Equal rights. Fair treatment. Accountability for the things that has taken place. But nah, you say, oh, I prayed for 33 hours that the gunman, the alleged gunman, was not one of ours. My God, today, if they not telling us who they are and we not believing them at this point, there is something wrong with us. Believe what people tell you the first time.
When Utah's governor said he was hoping it wasn't one of them, well, it was. One of y'all, all of y'all. That's what y'all do. It's a lot of that going out here in these streets. And as a black person, I don't want to get hit with the casualties, so I'm going to stay out y'all way.
Bitch, do you know how stupid you sound? Do you know how dumb you sound? That's black activists or Democrats posing as Republicans to take the heat off of them. The heat off of us for what? We didn't do shit. We did not murk your beloved Charlie Kirk. We didn't do shit. We said we weren't doing shit. When we said that we were on hiatus back in November, we meant that shit. We're not doing shit. And that whole assassination shit, that's y'all. That's y'all. That's some shit y'all do. Y'all do those whole political assassination shit. I think the only one black people had a hand in was Malcolm X, and that was from within his own organization. And it had shit to do with us. The death of Charlie Kirk had absolutely nothing to do with black people. But when he died, the first thing y'all did was start hollering about libs and Democrats. And we all know that y'all start using those words in the place of, or leftists, in the place of the N-word. Instead of saying nigga, y'all say leftists, liberals, and Democrats. Why would we need to take the heat off of ourselves when we didn't do shit? We knew it was a white man that did it. Y'all motherfuckers knew it was a white man that did it. But y'all don't like to look in the mirror for shit. Y'all like to come at us. Bitch. A white man has been arrested. A heterosexual, cisgendered white man has been arrested. Now, there's only roughly about 2 news media outlets that are reporting that he had a transgender partner. And that's Fox and the New York Post. And we don't trust those 2 news sources because they go off of rumors. So bitch, fuck you. Nobody needs the heat taken off of them. We didn't do shit. But y'all run to us anytime anything goes wrong because y'all need somebody to blame. Just because y'all can't look in the mirror. Y'all never look in the mirror. It's you. It ain't us. It ain't never been us. It's always been you. Y'all are the violent ones. Y'all have come into this country being violent. Y'all got this country being violent, and you're trying to maintain this country by being violent. Bitch, fuck you.
I just finished watching a press conference by the governor of Utah, And if you haven't seen it, then you definitely need to go back and watch it. I can't believe the words that came out of this man's mouth. I can, but I can't. He actually said that he prayed that it was not one of them, that he hoped that it was somebody from another country or from another state. He actually said that. That came out of his mouth because he's saying that it would have made it a lot easier because the type of things that happened to Charlie, those things don't happen in Utah, is what he's saying. But I also noticed too that they keep saying that this is political violence. But as far as I know, and from what I've heard about the guy who took out Charlie Kirk, he was actually a number 47 supporter. He was not from the left. He was actually from the right. He was actually one of them. So I don't understand why they keep trying to make this political. Now, as far as I heard, the guy that did this to Charlie, he didn't like him, is all that I heard them say. It had nothing to do with politics. I did not hear him mention politics, but he did not like Charlie.
White people are never, ever, ever going to give up white supremacy willingly. And that's because of the consequences that it would cause if they gave it up. And I'm not talking about mean words related to race. I'm not talking about hurt feelings. I'm talking about systemic white supremacy. White supremacy is all about control of resources. And these resources could be labor, they could be territory, they could be the resources on that territory, like oil or cobalt. It's also about power, legislative power, economic power, cultural power, or influence. And all these different facets of white supremacy have worked together for hundreds of years to put white people in the place they are now. White people are 14 or 15% of the world population. They control 60% of the wealth. In the United States, white people are 60% of the population and control 84.5% of the wealth. Even if you cut out the top 1%, the median household income for white families is $205,000 a year. For black people, it's $44,000 a year. Black people in the United States are about 16% of the population. In 1865, they held 0.5% of the wealth. In 2023, they held 4.2% of the wealth. Africa is 17% of the world's population, but holds less than 2% of global wealth. And I'm bringing up Africa because white supremacy is a global system. And to end global white supremacy, it's necessary to remove the control that white people have over territory that they've taken through white supremacy. A lot of people will conflate race with class, but it's not the same thing at all. In fact, for the territories that are under European occupation, the problem is a race issue, not a class issue primarily. From the perspective of the invaded, when Europeans invaded territory, is it only the rich Europeans that are the problem? No, it's the poor Europeans as well. Let's say you got rid of all the billionaires in Australia. From the Aboriginal Australians' point of view, is the problem over, or are the people that invaded his land still occupying his land? I feel like the reason why people say no war but class war is because the other types of oppression are systems that benefit them. Class is the way that white people are oppressed as a race. Racism is the way that benefits white people as a race. So it makes sense to me that they want to get rid of class instead of talking about race, or they think that getting rid of class will also get rid of race. If we say we want to end white supremacy, but white people will still have the things that they got through white supremacy, then what has really changed? When you stop a thief that is stealing from you, do you let the thief keep what he stole? Of course not. So let's talk about what would happen if the United States redistributed funds equally among the people in the United States in a vacuum. White median household income, $205,000. Black median household income, $44,000. If you redistribute the wealth, these people come down. The average is like $128,000. That would be a huge jump up for black people, but it would be a huge drop for white people. Then you have to consider how the United States gets that wealth in the first place. The United States is 4% of the population, holds 35% of the wealth. So the wealth that the United States has is based on stealing from other people. If you globally redistribute the wealth that the United States has 4% of the wealth. That's a drop of 30%. What would the United States look like then? If you don't want that to happen, then you have to allow the United States to keep doing the evil things that it does all around the world to maintain that percentage of wealth. It's also the same problem as earlier. If the white people took this land but they get to retain it after white supremacy ends, then how is white supremacy really over? It's not. Also, if we say we want to end white supremacy, but after white supremacy ends, non-white people are still under the control of white people, either legislatively or economically or culturally, then white supremacy hasn't really ended. Now globally, Europeans are 16% of the population and hold 60% of the wealth. And we all know that they haven't got that amount of wealth by being nice to anybody else. They've stolen it. They've murdered hundreds of millions of people to get that. Through white supremacy, Europeans have direct territorial control over North America, parts of South America, New Zealand, Tasmania, Australia. They have neo-colonial control over some territories like South Korea, Ukraine, obviously, a number of African states. And through economic warfare or subterfuge, some Europeans control resources and territory outside of Europe, like the Swiss with their company Glencore, which controls 70% of the DRC's cobalt, or the French with their company Total Energies that dominates West African oil. Not to mention the Canadians, who are famous in non-Western media for human rights abuses related to mining camps. So what would happen if these Europeans, who have been pillaging the world for hundreds of years, lose control of the things that they've taken and lose the ability to profit off of the evil that they've done? Western Europe would turn into a cultural backwater. It wouldn't be anything. The basis of its wealth is the exploitation of non-European people. And if you remove that exploitation, there's nothing left. Now, some white people might say to me, well, why can't we all just work together? Why can't we have a global system where we all work together for the benefit of humanity? And that sounds reasonable. But I just don't see the incentive for the global majority to work together with the Europeans who have been oppressing them and contributing labor to the Europeans any longer. Like, how much more labor, how many more resources do you think the Europeans deserve after what they've done and are doing? If you were a slave and you just got freedom, would you work together with the slave master to make sure that he had a better quality of life? Of course not. If you've been exploited by billionaires and you win the class struggle, are you interested in making sure that the ex-billionaire has a fine standard of living? Of course not. The Europeans have worked together against what is good for the majority of humanity for hundreds of years. Therefore, what is bad for Europeans is good for the majority of humanity. Kwame Ture said something similar. He said, what is good for the master is bad for the slave, and what is bad for the master is good for the slave. It's the same thing here. And this is why Europeans will never give up white supremacy. It's the same reason the South would not get rid of slavery, because their economy and their way of life is completely dependent upon white supremacy. It's the basis of their culture. It's the unifying force for Europeans. Their economic system is based on it. Their cultures are based on it. Their religions are based on it. From the perspective of the white race, maintaining white supremacy is a matter of survival for them. And so the majority of the world has to stop acting like they're ever going to give it up. The truth is that it has to be combated. It has to be fought. The power has to be taken. And only through taking the power are things going to get better for humanity.
You said his last name was Robinson? Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. What's his first name? Oh, Tyler. No! What was I hoping for? You know. Chiquavius or Muhammad.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, this entire issue is really sad if you ask me. The governor might have thought that he was speaking out of just caring for Americans, but those who care about immigration and those who are not white feel like this was not the right way he was supposed to talk, because this death of Charlie Kirk brought shock to almost everyone in the world. He was a renowned figure. Almost every country is watching at how America is going about this entire situation and talking about how he wished the killer of Charlie Kirk was going to be an outsider. Really means a lot about what America is. He might have meant well for Americans, but globally it is not really accepted. So on September 12th, Utah Governor Spencer Cox announced the arrest of Tyler Robinson for the assassination of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. During the emotional press conference, Cox revealed he had prayed that the killer was not a Utahn stating that for 33 hours, he was praying that if this had to happen, then it wouldn't be someone from Utah. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. The comment intended to express shock that the suspect was a local 22-year-old from a conservative Mormon family quickly drew widespread criticism for implying outsiders or immigrants were more prone to violence. Critics from immigration rights groups and progressive circles accused Cox of xenophobia, arguing his words scapegoated foreigners and perpetuated harmful stereotypes. Organizations like the ACLU of Utah condemned the remarks as dangerous rhetoric that fuels anti-immigrant sentiment, especially amid national debates on border security under Trump presidency. Online backlash erupted on platforms like X, with users labeling Cox as racist for wishing the killer was not one of us, interpreting it as a bias against non-Utahns or minorities. Even some conservatives and Trump allies expressed unease with figures like Laura Loomer tweeting that Cox's plea undermined unity by suggesting Utahns' exceptionalism excused domestic radicalization. President Trump, a close friend of Kirk, reportedly warned Cox in a private call to focus on the leftists behind the killing rather than local pride, according to sources close to the administration. This internal GOP friction highlighted tensions over Cox's moderate disagree better brand, clashing with hardline responses to the tragedy. Media outlets amplified the controversy, with headlines in The Guardian and Fulcrum decrying Cox's prayer as a misguided and dangerous invocation of othering that distracts from addressing homegrown political violence. Pundits on CNN and MSNBC debated whether the governor's words reflected broader Republican tendencies to blame external threats, drawing parallels to past incidences like the January 6 Capitol riot. Cox defended his statement as raw grief but faced calls for an apology from Democratic lawmakers, including Rep. Pramila Jayapal, who said it dehumanized immigrants. The backlash has led to protests outside the Utah State Capitol, where immigrant advocates demanded Cox retract his comments and reaffirm support for all residents. Polls showed a dip in his approval among independents, and Turning Point USA, Kirk's organization, distanced itself by focusing on leftist indoctrination as the motive. Cox issued a clarification emphasizing unity but stopped short of a full apology, intensifying debates on leadership in polarizing times. So this entire grief that he says he had at that time has led to him facing a lot of challenges. I don't think he's going to have it easy because, as Shahid Bolsen has said time without number, this death of Charlie Kirk is going to be a turning point for America. And many political careers are going to be made and others are going to be destroyed. What Spencer Cox made was really not warranted. He might have been thinking that he's experiencing a raw grief that needed excuse for what he had to say, but he must understand that words have meanings and people are free to decode your words depending on how they understand it. So while he might have meant a totally different thing, people who heard him have had different meanings, and it has made him being referred to as someone who is racist, someone who is anti-immigrants, and someone who is not even ready to welcome people in Utah or even America for that matter. The comments have so far dipped his approval rating, where independents say that because of what Spencer Cox said, they don't prefer him as being their governor, and this might end up harming him in the end when elections come up in the future. Share your thoughts down in the comment section, and if watching us for the first time, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you, and let's meet on the next one.